Hello, everybody. I'm Terry Owens with the District Department of Transportation, better known as DDOT, and welcome to DDOT Delivers. Each week, we take you inside one of the district's largest government agencies for a look at what we're doing to serve residents and visitors of the District of Columbia. Today, my guests are Lee Goodall, manager of the Community Engagement Team at DDOT, and Naomi Klein, a Community Engagement Specialist. Welcome to the show, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Good to see you in here. Yeah. So, Lee, how would you describe the role the community engagement team plays at DDOT?
Well, it's all encompassing. So our division's responsible for coordinating and managing the outreach that DDOT does across the district, and we engage primarily with residents directly or through the Mayor's Office of Community Relations and Services, also known as the MOCRs, Advisory Neighborhood Commissions, and the District Council offices. And so there's a team of 8, including myself, that works on those activities on behalf of the many employees and colleagues at DDOT.
Naomi, you get to be out there on the front lines. Certainly Lee is out there with you, but you're out there on the front line at these community meetings. When you go out, what are you hoping to take away from these encounters, or what are you hoping people get from you?
Yeah, so I think we're going out to educate the public about programs or projects that we're working on, and then in return we want to hear feedback directly from residents, from the ANCs, the Advisory Neighborhood Commissions, and from any local elected officials about what DDOT is doing.
Okay. Community engagement is one of the priorities of our director, Jeff Meridian. When he came in, he revamped that entity and said this is going to be the group that is out there making sure that we're in touch with the community and the community knows how to access us. What kind of pressure is that for you guys?
Oh, it's never ending. Yeah, as you mentioned, Director Meridian he invested heavily in the team. I've been there for about 15 months now. When I arrived, I had 2 really hardworking colleagues who have been kind of managing everything themselves along with the other coworkers across the agency, and the director kind of invested in us and allowed us to expand the team to, as I mentioned, eight team members altogether. But it's really exciting work. I think what we do at DDOT touches every aspect of people's day-to-day lives in many ways when you think about it, whether you're obviously driving throughout the streets, down the streets, or walking down the sidewalk, or coming out of your garage in your alleyway. The tree canopy that we have across the district, we manage at the agency. We have lots of people who are working day to day to issue permits for our public space, and a lot of people working to rebuild, resurface, and revamp the district's infrastructure and the assets that we manage. So it's a really rewarding experience to be able to work on issues that affect so many people, and affects and has an impact on so many of the visitors that we see to the district every year. So I find it's extremely rewarding. It is a lot of hard work because so many things can go wrong when you're working with so many different types of the city district's infrastructure. But myself and folks like Naomi who are on the team, I think probably have a good time. And there's at least something new that happens at least every week, if not every day. So it does keep up your interest.
I think one of the key decisions was to break the team up and have one person assigned to a ward. So, Naomi, you're the Ward 6 representative, correct?
That's correct.
And I would imagine your life's a lot simpler because you get to focus on that particular constituency as opposed to trying to keep up with wards 1 and 8 and 5? I mean, how much easier is that?
Yeah, absolutely. It's much easier. DDOT handles all kinds of issues from roadways to sidewalks, like Lee was talking about, with trees, with major construction projects. And so the benefit to having one ward is that we get to be one point of contact for everything that the agency does. There's not confusion from the people that I work with at the council member's office or at the ANC level about who they should go to if they're trying to get in touch with someone at DDOT.
Okay, and what kind of collaboration then is there between yourself and your other colleagues?
I mean, I would say lots of collaboration. I think that's most of what I do, is helping to connect the public to the right person at DDOT to help them with whatever's going on. So we're a huge agency. It could be, we have issues that may be so complex that there are multiple divisions within DDOT that need to be working to resolve that issue. And so a lot of what I do is play that connecting piece.
Okay, in case you're just joining us, this is DDOT Delivers, where we take you inside the District Department of Transportation. Our guest today, Lee Goodall, Head of Community Engagement for the agency, and Naomi Klein, a Community Engagement Specialist. Lee, why is it, or I guess what kind of results are you seeing? You said you've been there 15 months. The team's in place. Your guys are out in the community almost daily. You guys are at a community meeting somewhere. What kind of results are you seeing?
Well, I think many people would say that it's a lot easier to get in touch with the right people at the agency now to resolve their problem. I think Naomi touched on it. We might be the more public face of the agency, but there are dozens of people who do similar work within the different divisions at the agency. And what I mean by that to say is we have a lot of public facing or external facing staff. And those staff are out on the streets every day engaging with the public for the work that they're doing. But when people don't know who to go to get a result or get an answer to a question, they oftentimes come to their city council, district council member. They'll call up their advisory neighborhood commissioner. And for those district council members, those ANCs, as well as the MOCRs working with the mayor's office, they now know they can contact Naomi, for example, in Ward 6, and Naomi will direct them to the right agency or division within the agency to get their answer. Our council offices, I will say, when I work with them and when I worked with the ANCs, as I've worked with them over the last several months, they definitely are much happier to have a point of contact. And I think that we have been able to respond more quickly to certain issues and in all those areas where we do have to work across divisions within the agency to get results. I think people will definitely say that there's more positive results as a result of us being around. Our director probably is very happy to have us because when he's out at community meetings or when he's out having meetings in the public and he needs something done, he'll definitely send an email or a message over to us, and we're able to help him be an even better director. So he's probably the one more popular directors I think we have, but he's been done a great job at with the mayor's leadership of helping DDOT deliver on its mission and its programs.
Okay. You are listening to DDOT Delivers on 96.3 HD4 and DCRadio.gov. I'm Terry Owens. We're going to take a break here, but when we come back, one of the things I want to talk about, Naomi, is the kind of issue or problem you might be faced with solving on a day-to-day basis. I know they come up every day. You walk away from every community meeting with a long list of things. We want to hear about some of those challenges you face and how you get underneath them and how DDOT is serving residents of the district. Stay with us. We'll take a break, back in just a moment. Welcome back, everybody. This is DDOT Delivers on 96.3 HD4 and DCRadio.gov. I'm Terry Owens. My guest today are Lee Goodall, manager of the Community Engagement Division at the District Department of Transportation. Also with us, Naomi Klein, a member of the Community Engagement team. Naomi, before we went to break, we were talking about some of the kinds of issues. For folks that don't know, give us a sense. How often are you out in the community on a weekly basis?
I'm out in the community, I would say, every day. Between, last week I was doing a safety walk with an ANC commissioner in Southwest. Today I'm going to an ANC Transportation Committee meeting. I'm out meeting residents, out at coffee shops, meeting people to answer their questions. So I would say every day.
So give us an idea of the kind of typical issue a resident might bring to you and say, hey, I need some help with this. What can you do?
Yeah, so a lot of the issues that I'm finding are around just educating the public and the staff of local elected officials on how to interact with DDOT. So a lot of what we do comes to us through the 311 system. And so some of what I'm doing is just showing people how to submit or call in a 311, even just to the fact that we have an app that they can download, what kind of details to include so that when they are reporting a problem to us, that we're actually able to go out and find that problem and send it to the correct division to fix it. Something, for example, as simple as a sidewalk repair that didn't get done, maybe because there wasn't, a specific address included. So a lot of what I think I do is educate the public on how to interact with DDOT so that their issues are getting resolved.
Okay, so a public servant in every sense of the word. How gratifying is it to have somebody that's been grappling with an issue for a couple of weeks or a couple of months and they're finally able to get that resolution they've been looking for?
It feels really great, I have to say. So getting an email like, I've been waiting forever to get my alley fixed and now I have a beautiful new alley and, this really changes everything for me, especially from in that case, it was a resident who may have been somewhat older and accessibility becomes more difficult. Those little things like having a nice alley to be able to access your home from makes a huge difference. And it really feels great to hear that those things are moving in a positive direction for DC residents.
Lee, you guys also have a huge responsibility to our stakeholders, the council members, ANCs. You recently spearheaded an open house for ANC commissioners. Why was that important for the agency?
Oh, I think it was very important because it kind of peels back a little bit of a layer and have them be able to meet with the program managers across the agency who are directly delivering on the programs and services that they hear so much about. Mm-hmm. One of the things that we were able to do, and this will be our second year doing it, is we're rolling out our Pave DC website, which is a site that residents and anyone can go to that shows where we're going to be doing our paving, street resurfacing, where we're going to be doing our alley-palooza alleys, and where this year for 2019, we're going to be rolling out where we're going to be doing sidewalk work.
That's huge.
That is huge. I think one of the things that I noticed when I took over the managing the team is that we did not have a plan that people knew about that was public facing. So we have a huge team that works on our asset management and our street and bridge efforts, and the work that they're doing, we needed to highlight that. And we get lots of emails, from residents and ANCs and council members saying, hey, where is this work going to be occurring at? When are you getting to my alley? When are you getting to my road? And now we have a Pave DC site, and it took about a dozen people within the agency to come together to formulate that site. But Naomi probably has some more to say about this, but it's reduced the number of phone calls and emails that we get about that type of work. And so I think the community engagement team has been working collaboratively with other divisions to help them tell their story even more in terms of what they do, and which just helps show the taxpayers how we're delivering on these important services.
We hear it all the time. People just want information. You know, everybody understands there's a lot of work to do. There's a big district to cover, but if you let us know what's going on and when, we can appreciate it and work more closely with you. We talked about the ANC open house and how you use that. One of the key decisions was that this is an event, and I'll have you paint the picture for me, Naomi, I know you were there as well, where there's not a lot of speechifying that goes on here. This is something that we're coming, and folks are actually able to sort of, as you say, touch the project managers, get a look. Naomi, was this your first ANC open house?
This was my first ANC open house.
What was your experience there?
My experience was overall very positive. There were a lot of Ward 6 ANC commissioners that were able to make it. The feedback I got from them was that it was really helpful, especially for newly elected commissioners. We had a lot of commissioners that were sworn in January of this year, to even be able to learn about what DDOT does and all of the services that we offer, because it's a very wide array of things that DDOT is responsible for. And I liked the fact that they were able to just go up and interact directly with contacts at each of these divisions. Like you said, there really weren't speeches. It was a very direct contact straight from the ANC commissioner to the people who are getting that work done, so that they're learning about what we're doing and they're able to get their questions answered. I thought it was a great format.
Right, and we had representatives there from our infrastructure and project management division, and those guys are building the big stuff, right? We have a huge project where we're completely replacing the Frederick Douglass Bridge on South Capitol, and we are doing other streetscape projects across the district, and they came out with their maps and their boards, and so people can kind of like see what's going to be coming down the pipeline, and also just ask questions of those project managers. For example, I think in last year when I started, we had our urban forestry manager come out with we have a beehive.
They brought the bees out.
You probably heard it from Earl on that one. So there's a whole lot of different things that people don't know about DDOT, and so when we have those open houses, the ANC commissioners and council staff can come see what we're all about.
Okay, you are listening to DDOT Delivers, where we take you inside the District Department of Transportation. My guest today, Lee Goodall, manager of the Community Engagement Team. Also with us is Naomi Klein, a Community Engagement Specialist. Lee, I think people should know that our staffers wear many hats. Not only do you have folks out on the front lines doing the meetings and all that kind of team, but your team members also work snow duty. I mean, who does that? What?
Yeah, it's a little bit of a team effort. So a couple of my colleagues work with, as you know, DDOT partners with DPW to help clear the district's public way and streets and bike lanes and so forth. But yeah, we have a couple people who work snow duty. So. It's kind of tough in the winter when they leave on a Tuesday midday, and then I'll see them again on Thursday, and I'm CC'd on a lot of emails, so I'm like waiting for them to come back to help me answer some of those emails and those messages. But we're a big team, and we band together to get it done.
Good. Naomi, did you think snow duty might be in your job description when you hired on at DDOT?
I did not. It doesn't surprise me. I think one thing about DDOT is we're definitely a team player. So when things like snow happen in the district, it's an all hands on deck kind of event. And like Lee said, it definitely makes it hard, because when snow happens, it doesn't stop questions or other issues that may come up that are DDOT's responsibility, but we have to get the snow cleared. So, it's all about teaming up to make sure that all the work is getting done when it needs to get done.
Yeah, and kudos to the operations staff at DDOT. They deploy so many times, even when it may not snow that much. they're out deploying and working all hours of the night to make sure they're prepared in case we do get the big one. I think we've been lucky that we have not gotten a big snowstorm in the last couple of years at least.
And most people don't realize, in many ways, DDOT is a 24/7 operation. Our rope guys are always out there.
Right.
You don't see them, so you don't necessarily know all that's going on. But we've got our tentacles in just about everything that's happening in the district.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right, you are listening to DDOT Delivers. I'm Terry Owens. My guest today, Lee Goodall and Naomi Klein, both of the community engagement team at DDOT. We're going to take a break here and do what we do every week when we come back. We're going to drop the veil and tell you a little bit about how these guys made their way to these roles. What was it that piqued their curiosity about transportation? What was the education journey? Is it something they dreamed about as a child, or did you just sort of back into this? I love those stories because I think it empowers and informs, and we'll talk about that when DDOT Delivers continues. Stay with us. We're back in just a moment. Welcome back, everybody. This is DDOT Delivers on 96.3 HD4 and DCRadio.gov. I'm Terry Owens. My guest today, Lee Goodall, manager of the community engagement team at the District Department of Transportation, and his colleague, Naomi Klein, also on the community engagement staff. Lee, one of the things that we like to do with the program is...
Here it comes.
Keep it real with our audience. We like to have a little fun, but no, more than anything, what I want to do is help people know more about our organization. We're an agency of more than 1,000 people. I don't know how many different job classifications there are within DDOT, but there are a lot. And what I want to do is help the public know how they can find their way to some of these roles, and kids in particular. So you need to start thinking about these things early on, and I'd just like to get a sense from our guest of how you got to the agency. Were you in high school thinking, boy, transportation really sounds like something I'd like to do one day. I'm going to go off and become a manager of a community engagement team. What was the journey?
Well, yeah, I don't know if we have enough time to talk about that whole journey, but, my first job was in financial services. I did that for about 5 years, and then I fell into doing political campaigns. For 2 times in 2008 and 2012, I worked on the Obama campaign. So I've traveled to quite a number of states, doing all types of outreach and education type of programs, working for nonprofits to educate people how to engage or change policy from governments, whether they be local, state, or at the federal level. I was also a consultant for a few years doing healthcare implementation in a couple states. Most of our listeners probably know it as Obamacare. But this was probably, I guess, my 4th or 5th career. And I guess my advice is to always learn a little bit wherever you are going and whatever you're doing. Dig in and learn as much as you can, I should say, because I've pulled on every experience I've previously had to do this job, whether that means I exhibit an extraordinary level of patience with what we're working on, or just having had experience knowing that the public at some point is going to come to you for an issue that they need help with and needs a resolution. And so your job as a public servant is to help them in any way you can. And if you don't have the answer, to guide them in the right place or find the right person to help them out with. So we have folks who are engineers at DDOT. We have folks who are financial gurus at DDOT. People who are contract specialists or who understand contracts. We have folks who are planners and are dreamers. They're thinking about how the district could look in 5 years, 10 years, 15 years. And we have folks who are just trying to help that resident or that contractor get a permit to do some small or medium-sized project. So we employ a lot of different folks from a lot of different backgrounds, and I don't know. I've had fun in everything that I've done, and I think that our listeners should never give up, because you actually never know where you're going to be in 5 years or 10 years. So just learn all you can and in whatever you're doing, and the future is out there.
Naomi, did you always know that public service was something that would be in your future?
I would say yes to that, actually. I, as a kid, was always really interested in government and the idea of this huge force that was created by people but had such a big effect on how people were able to live their lives every day. And Lee and I actually have something in common in that I think we both got our start in public service on the Obama campaign. That was also my first job at 19. And I think from that, I realized that what I loved to do was to work with people, was to help build people up and give them power. And I continued that in labor organizing, which I was doing, working with workers in the DC metro area, hotel workers. And I've brought that same, organizing and relationship building excitement to DDOT. And I've become very excited about transportation from being at DDOT. It wasn't something I knew about before, but it really does touch every part of your life, how you're able to get to where you're going and how you're able to get around, and if you're able to get around. It is a huge impact that you really don't think about every day or might take for granted. So my advice would be, for me, I realized I never wanted to do a desk job. I had too much energy for that. Instead of having to figure out what I had to do, I realized what I didn't want to do. I didn't want to sit at a desk, and I kind of went from there. So what I would say, to kids or teenagers, to anyone who's thinking about what their future looks like, think about what you do want to do, but also think about what you don't want to do, because that leaves a lot of doors open. So, if I had to have known about transportation, I might not be here today, but I just knew I wanted to work with people, and that's where my passion was.
What do you think best prepared you for this role? Lee, you talked about touching on a lot of different job experiences. Was there something in your education journey, or was there an individual?
I don't know. I am people think I'm like outgoing person, so I guess external affairs was something that I naturally fit into. I really just learned that any opportunity in front of you is just a great chance to do something different. And so I would say my advice is don't be afraid. Obviously I never thought I would be working at a transportation agency, but I think that I was able to learn a great deal from all of my prior opportunities, and those opportunities put me in a good position to be able to take advantage of the next opportunity. So I don't know. The only thing I can think closely that connects is that when I was really young, I really liked trains. And so we don't necessarily have trains in the District of Columbia like where we manage as a DOT. But I don't know. That's as close as I can come.
Yeah, the one that got me was the tree canopy. When I got to Desi, we managed the trees.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, it's we do a lot. Folks at the agency do a lot.
Yeah, good. Well, you guys have been awesome. I'm so glad you were able to make some time for us today. I think that we've gone a long way to try and educate and inform people about what the agency is doing, about the importance of the work that you're doing as members of the community engagement team. You're out there on the front line engaging the public, educating and informing not only our residents but our stakeholders, and I think that's critically important to the mission of the organization, and kudos to you for the job that you're doing. Thank you for showing up and working those late nights and coming back early in the morning. People don't see a lot of that, and that's what the role entails, and it is vitally important to all that we're doing. You've been listening to DDOT Delivers. I'm Terry Owens. I hope you got something out of today's show. Come back. We'll do it again next week right here at the same place, 96.3 HD4 and DCRadio.gov. Have a great day, everybody. Bye-bye.